a crash course on essential needs assessment indicators. In this third video of the Essential Needs Assessment Insight series, we will get a bit technical and introduce the indicators used in essential needs assessments. Essential needs assessments require the usual food security and socioeconomic indicators used in other types of assessments. These, for example, include household demographics, information about income sources and livelihoods, food consumption and nutrition indicators, information on water sanitation and health as well as shelter. But what are essential needs assessment-specific indicators? There are 5 indicators at household level. First, the economic capacity to meet essential needs, ECMEN indicator. The ECMEN indicator shows which percentage of households have expenditures above a certain minimum threshold. The threshold used for this is the Minimum Expenditure Basket, MEB. What is a MEB? The MEB is defined as what a household requires in order to meet its essential needs, typically describing the cost of 1 month that captures a household's average and recurrent needs. If a household's monthly expenditures, excluding assistance and credit, are above the MEB, it means the household has the economic capacity to meet its essential needs. The ECMEN indicator directly informs programmatic decisions. It can, for example, be used to estimate households' monetary gaps in meeting their essential needs and help determine the transfer value for assistance. It can also be used to monitor if households' capacity to meet essential needs changes over time. Beware, households might be able to meet essential needs only because they engage in unsustainable coping strategies. For example, selling their assets. The ECMEN indicator should therefore always be analyzed in combination with information on livelihood coping. 2. The Livelihood Coping Strategies Indicator, LCSI, for essential needs. The LCSI provides information on the coping strategies that households adopt when they struggle to meet their essential needs. The coping strategies that are asked in this indicator are classified into 3 categories based on the severity of their implications. For example, spending savings in order to meet your essential needs is less severe than selling your farmland. Looking at coping behavior can show you how people prioritize when they don't have enough financial resources, and as such, tells you about trade-offs that people face. Also, it can give an indication if households will be able to meet their essential needs in the longer term, or if they soon will have depleted their assets. 3. Debt-related indicators. Taking up debt is one coping strategy households can adopt. Assessing debt shows if households currently require additional financial means to meet their essential needs. There are several indicators of debt that you can look at. First, analyzing the amounts borrowed can help you to understand the gaps that households face in meeting those needs. Second, you might want to look at the reasons why they incur debts, if, for example, for educational purposes, for buying food, or for investing in a business. Third, it is useful to understand from whom they incur those debts, as formal loans might have better conditions than informal loans. 4. The Multidimensional Deprivation Index. The Multidimensional Deprivation Index, or MDDI, measures deprivations that households face across 6 essential needs: food, health, education, wash, shelter, and safety. It is comprised of a list of indicators on these needs that are weighted and combined in a single index. The MDDI complements the monetary lens of the ECMEN indicator. A monetary indicator analyzed on its own will not be able to show us what the underlying challenges are. For instance, a household may lack physical access to basic services, children may not be in school, or shelter could be overcrowded. It is also common that households in need are deprived in more than one dimension. The multiple deprivations are therefore combined into a single index. If a household is suffering from a single deprivation in education, this may reflect an individual problem of access or a sectoral problem related to the provision of education. If, on the other hand, this household is suffering simultaneously from multiple deprivations in education, health, and protection, this is more likely to reflect systemic issues. Systematic issues in turn might relate to gender or ethnic discrimination, problems that cannot be resolved with sectoral approaches alone. 5. The Perceived Needs Indicator. Perceived needs is a perception-based indicator used to understand how the population of interest themselves perceive their needs. It is based on a comprehensive list of needs called the Humanitarian Emergency Settings Perceived Needs Scale, or HESPER scale, that has been developed and tested by the World Health Organization and the King's College London. Based on this list, households will rate which needs they perceive as most pressing. The indicator can be used to identify new areas of concern for households. For the design of multi-purpose cash assistance, the results can help to understand which needs households consider as most important and might be prioritized with the assistance provided. Keep in mind that perception-based indicators are by definition subjective, and answers can be influenced by external factors. For example, if respondents received assistance. Also, the indicator will only show you which needs are unmet, but not needs that the population is able to meet. A holistic view of essential needs. How can you piece everything together? Combining the Ekman indicator and MDDI can help you understand which needs are unmet due to reasons other than economic constraints. Households might not be able to meet their education needs despite having the economic capacity, because, for example, there are no schools in their area. Combining this information with perceived needs, you will be able to understand how households might prioritize between different needs. For some households, lack of access to water may be a more pressing need than the lack of schools in their area. Adding debt and livelihood coping-related indicators can highlight any unsustainable coping behavior and whether households will be able to meet their needs in the longer term. For example, you might find households are selling their assets to meet their needs now, and when they reach a point of having sold everything, they will no longer be able to meet their essential needs. To learn more about Essential Needs Assessment, visit the VAM Resource Center, where you will find the complete guidance, as well as other relevant resources and practical tools to help you with your work.